You guys, I have a wizard on my shirt. I'm filming my Medieval-A-Thon TBR. Like, I could not be more on brand right now. Hi everyone, my name is Holly and today's TBR video is extra special because I will be choosing books for Medieval-A-Thon, which starts today actually. So after this video, you need to get to reading. You need that shiny breastplate. Also, be sure to follow Medieval-A-Thon on Twitter because there are some really cool stuff happening throughout all of July that is really important to your character development and you don't want to miss that. Or if you don't have a Twitter or you just don't want to go on there, which I totally get it, you can just follow me on Instagram and I will be reposting all the stuff in my Instagram stories. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, oh my goodness, add this video to your watch later list, click the link down below, and watch the announcement video where I talk about it in more detail. There's nobility ranks, there's armor and weapon choices. Oh boy, we are going very ambitious this month. I decided to choose a book for all 10 prompts. I have short books, long books, physical books, ebooks, YA, adult, middle grade, I think. I am covering the whole spectrum this month. I might not get to all of them, but it was just fun choosing all the books. Plus, it's a read-a-thon, so I will be focusing more on reading this month anyways. Like, I can't fail the read-a-thon that I birthed, okay? So starting with The Crown, read a book where a character is fighting for the throne. I actually have an ebook for this one, and that is In Shadows We Fall by Devin Madsen. This is a prequel novella for the Vengeance trilogy, which I thought would be a really great starting point. It's all about an empress who gets cast aside for a younger woman, and she will do anything to protect her children when a seer tells her of a vision that they are going to die. It's an Asian-inspired retelling all about like spiraling politics, and I'm just so intrigued by it. I'm also just super pumped that I'm finally delving into Devin Madsen's work. Next up is The Helmet, read a book with a dragon on the cover. So I actually switched out a book for this prompt. I initially had My Diary at the Edge of the World by Jodi Lynn Anderson, which is a middle grade fantasy, but I got a book in the mail from Orbit, and you guys know how it is. Orbit takes all of priority. They are my book daddy after all. So now I am going to read The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. Honestly, I want to read both, but do I have a time machine? Sadly not. This is an African-inspired adult fantasy debut about dragons. Like, that's all I needed to know to read it, honestly. This does come out on July 16th, so if you are wanting to read it for that prompt, you can, and we can possibly, more than likely, gush together because I've already heard such great things about this. Up next is The Breastplate, to read a shiny book. So I decided to go with The Tangled Lands by names I'm going to fork up. Paola not even gonna try. But it's definitely sporting a dewy finish. This is a fantasy that consists of 4 short stories that all take place in this city where a tyrant has taken control of the world that is also infested by something called the Brambles, which is caused by the use of magic. Though each story can be read as a standalone, apparently they kind of interweave together and create this really awesome conclusion. I'm also so curious as to what this plague-like disease is, and I should eat this up no problem. The book, not the disease. Ew. And then we have Leggings, read a thick paperback, and for this one I went with Malice by John Gwynne. This and Rage of Dragons are the 2 books that are definitely going to take up most of my time, which is why the rest of my books are a lot shorter because this thing's a monster. I'm so happy that this book fits this prompt because I also mentioned it in my books I need to read in 2019's video. The series is primarily about a demon and angel war, but in a fantasy setting, and it's apparently really character driven. It follows like 7 perspectives, which is going to be a cakewalk compared to the Red Knights. I know so many people who love this and I want to love it too, so I'm excited to be finally reading it. Next is Boots, and that is a read a book that has yellowed over time, and you guys are gonna laugh at me. Thankfully, I have the luxury of easily seeing like the yellow pages with my books being turned around, but I struggled with this one. So I went to the very bottom of my shelves looking, because I do have some really yellow adult fantasies, but I mean, this is scary enough. I knew I wasn't going to be able to handle it, so I found some older YA, and that is Frostfire by Amanda Hocking. Every time I look at this book, I think, Holly, you are going to hate this so much. But there's something about it that just intrigues me. It's about like a magical kingdom with trolls that have magical powers. It sounds cool, but the forbidden romance is what's probably gonna ruin it. It reminds me of The Kiss of Deception, which is a romance, and I actually adore. This girl better be kissing some trolls. Now going on to The Cloak, which is read a book with red on the dust jacket or cover, and this one's definitely like the interchangeable prompt where I might decide which book later on in the month, but for now I have Child of a Mad God by R.A. Salvatore. This was actually in my June TBR, but I didn't get to it, and it makes me so sad because I was so excited to read it. But I don't really want to read it in July because I feel like I'm going to rush through it, and I really don't want that. Now onto the weapons, which I know my TBR is already far out of control, but we have a sword, read a book with something pointy on the cover, and for this one I have the Sword of Kaigan, and yeah, this one is another one that's like 600 pages. I think it's an adult fantasy, and Patrick Leo was forcing me to read it. Thanks, Patrick. The next prompt is Daggers, read a book with assassins, and for this one I'm going with Night of Stars by Tom Lloyd. This is his new book that just came out on June 25th, so I actually don't have a physical copy yet, but I will. I read Stranger of Tempest and Princess of Blood and the two other novellas last month, but this is a new series of his that takes place in the same world and even follows the same characters. Next up is Bow and Arrows, and it's read a book with elves in it. This one might be sacrilege. So one of you guys inspired me, actually. You messaged me asking if The Cruel Prince was okay to read for this prompt because they live in Elfheim. You know, fae, fairies, elves. Sure. We might make this fandom very angry, but I'm all for it. I will be reading The Wicked King by Holly Black for this prompt because, I mean, pointy ears and like Elfheim, like I totally get it. I mean, if you guys are okay with it, then I won't read it. I'll just wait even longer. I'm just kidding. I'm definitely going to read it. And then last but not least, I have The Axe, read a book with mercenaries. So for this one, I could have went with so many adult fantasy books, but like I said before, I didn't want to stack my cards up too high. So I decided to go with The Boneless Mercies by April Genevieve Tacholk. Now, I got this book in a Beacon book box a few months ago, and I knew it was a Beowulf retelling, but I had no idea that it follows a band of female mercenaries, which sounds so cool. This book is perfect for this readathon because it's short, it's a standalone. The only thing that has me a little worried is that I have yet to enjoy a book by this author yet, but I still have high hopes. Oh, that's a lot of books. I forgot about the ebooks as well. Oh, geez. And that is my July Medieval-A-Thon TBR. I hope you guys enjoyed. Tell me down below if you are joining. I know so many of you are, and it makes me so happy. Be sure to use the hashtag Medieval-A-Thon. Be sure to follow Medieval-A-Thon on Twitter because important things are happening over there. Subscribe if you haven't. Like this video, and until we meet again, happy reading.